And now using power chain, we will thread it underneath the arch wire to engage the molar cleat. In this case, I'm using E-chain or energy chain with the closely spaced modules. This chain does not degrade as quickly during the month as does the typical power chain with the 1 millimeter space between the modules. On successive months, you should be sure to look for this particular chain because it can become embedded in the tissue interproximal. This type of mechanics is not usually necessary in closure of the first bicuspid space, but is almost always necessary in closure of second bicuspid space. Even though the space is closed on the patient's left side, we can still use the chain to create a moment on the molar tooth and thus re-rotate it mesiobuccally. In this case, on the buccal, we will bring the chain all the way up to the cuspid. Because there's no bicuspid bracket in place on the buccal. It is undesirable for the chain to be across the occlusal surface of the bicuspid since it may intrude that tooth. But in this heavy wire, it would be impractical to replace the bicuspid bracket. We will now make some closed coils or pletcher springs. Using a light wire plier, we will bend out the last couple loops on the closed coil. This will allow us to either attach to a molar hook or to place a ligature wire through that hole. As an alternative, we can bend out the last couple loops with a pin and ligature cutter. You should use closed coils where there is a question as to the patient cooperation or when a full-size rectangular wire is being used as the retraction arch wire. The coils give a very consistent force over 2 to 4 months of time and may provide the extra force needed when excessive friction is slowing the progress. In this case, we have attached the coil to the loop on the arch wire. This is a minimum anchorage type of a mechanics system, allowing the molar to come easily as much as possible into the space. As an alternative, you could hook from the molar to the cuspid bracket itself.